Good afternoon, everyone. Welcome back to the Main Street Media Network booth. We are live here at the Phoenix Convention Center for America Fest 2025 with Turning Point USA. My name is Michael Rebello. I'm the host of the Ever4 Mindset podcast. I'm a 20-year-old entrepreneur who chose entrepreneurship over the traditional college path. I'm inspired and driven by the goal to retire my mother and to help other middle Americans like her learn about and invest in other asset classes such as multifamily real estate to build long-lasting financial freedom. I'm also trying to be an advocate and a voice out there for Gen Zers who want to get their voice out there, to be young capitalists and to be young entrepreneurs as well, just like me. And today we are joined by an incredible guest, entrepreneur and faith-driven man, Shahriq Khan. How you doing, my friend?
Mike Rebello, it's an honor, man. Thank you for having me on.
Of course, it's a pleasure. So, Shahriq, I've heard a little bit about your story and who you are. And it's an incredible story. I want the audience to know a little bit about you, what brought you here today, and who you are today. So what's your origin story?
Yeah, so I always go back to the story of my father. My father had a very, very deep impact on my life in a lot of ways that are very unconventional. So my father was one of 17. I have over, I think, 100 first cousins now, all in Pakistan. And huge Muslim family. My father came here and lived the American dream.
Yep.
He came here and he married an Americanized Indian woman. She converted to Islam to marry him. He's a very devout Muslim, he still is. And he climbed the corporate ladder. He was a 19-year-old guy with $60 in his pocket who worked at a Wendy's, who was a cab driver in New York, who had broken English, who climbed into a senior vice president position at one of the biggest banks in the world.
That's hustling.
Hustling.
Wow.
I always say, I think I get like 20% of his work ethic. If I had his work ethic, I would be a different level, man.
I feel that.
Yeah. In good time. And so, truthfully, my father, one of the biggest, moments of our family's history is that, my dad saw 9/11 happen. From the windows of his giant bank, he was like the floor warden. He was responsible for taking care of the people in his life. And he was an incredible man. He really loved his company. He was a great leader, and he was somebody who refused to settle for anything with any of his people. Sadly, we were Muslim. And I say sadly because when I was early in my young adult days, like the prime years of my development, my earliest identity was that I'm going to be Muslim. And we have to prove to the world that Islam is not terrorism. It's not people hijacking planes and crashing into buildings.
Yeah.
This would become an identity that I would latch to in my darkest moments. I'm still a Muslim. I still have God with me, right? Allah is with me no matter what.
Yeah.
And fast forward, my whole youth life was in this indoctrination of Islam. I had only Muslim friends. I wasn't allowed to hang out with really any of my Christian friends publicly. I wasn't allowed to engage with a lot of the sports teams. I couldn't sleep over places. And when I got to college, I had this freedom that I never tasted before. And the truth was, despite being Muslim, I still went deeply into the world in that freedom. And it made me really suicidal because I realized that not many things in this life are very fruitful. And in my lowest moment, in my suicidal moments, in my last days as a Muslim, I actually repented to Allah. I said, God, I'm sorry for coming away from you. And in those moments, I actually met Christ. And in that suicidal prayer that I have written on my phone, it was like, please Allah, please save me, help me. My mind is going insane. Nothing feels peaceful anymore. I can't sleep. I can't eat. And I was just in my bedroom. I remember like shaking. I was getting calls from the bank from 8 a.m. to 8 p.m. to collect on $40,000 of debt that I had accumulated to be a entrepreneur because I didn't have the mentorship. My family did not like me leaving Islam, and so there was a lot of like emotional damage. I couldn't ask them for help.
You were getting hit on all sides.
I was overwhelmed.
Yeah.
In every way that the enemy would have loved that to happen. But the truth is, and I see this now, is I had so many false identities. I got my worth from my work. I got my worth from my money, my bank account. I got my worth from how cool my friends were. I got my worth from how much I traveled. I got my worth from the experiences that I was having. And what I realized was that made me so undependent on God in my life that the Lord actually used those moments to rip away every false identity that I had and lead me right to Him. And when I finally fully submitted to that, and I'm not saying this is going to happen for everybody, but that $40K of debt was wiped away in 3 months. My business exploded. My entrepreneurship journey had just really taken off. And by the grace of God, I always say this, but the pool was more blue, the grass was a bit greener, I was hugging my mom a little bit tighter.
Absolutely.
And it gave me this peace that I was just going to go in, not only all in on my business, but I'm going to go all in with Christ and see what happens. And since then, we've just had this wild life. And I want to land the plane here, I know. But now we run one of the largest Muslim evangelism ministries in the nation. We disciple so many Muslims into Christ. The most devout Muslims come to us, and we engage them, and we biblically disciple them, and they come to Christ all over the country, all over the Western and Eastern nations. We're in over 100 different countries, and now all of the business skills that I gained, all of the identity that I needed to prune out of me, by me becoming an entrepreneur, I learned how to challenge all of my own limiting beliefs over and over and over again. By me sorting all of that out, I'm now able to do it for the kingdom. And it's one of the biggest blessings I could ask for.
Absolutely. That is an amazing story, and I'm really glad that you're here with us to share that because, there was a point in your life where you're like, it was just you.
Right.
That was it. It was just you and nobody else. Nothing physical, nothing imaginary. It was just you. And you were in that moment. And you're right, an entrepreneur, it teaches you to go outside the box, go outside the lines, to go, well, what if I try this? It helps you to become independent and to, not be dependent on external things. But you became the, how would I put this? You became a partner with God.
Right.
And you realize that you've been so far away from him that you were like all these physical, earthly things, I'm good, this is who I am. But no, you're right, once you started to strip away those things, this is who you are, and you realize how, this isn't me, and we found Christ.
Right.
He gave you that value. Like, you are more valuable than anything right now.
Yes.
You're more valuable than that car. You are more valuable than that travel, than that travel experience, than that paycheck that you get, than that acquisition fee that you get. You are you, and there's nobody else like you. And to have those moments at the lowest possible moments, it actually brings out the strongest people that you could imagine. Because you know what? You had a choice, Shahriq, to run away, cower in the shadows, but you didn't. You're like, I need to do something. And a lot of people would have run away, they would have fled, but you're like, no, you grabbed it by the shirt collar, and you're like, listen, we're going to get this done. And you turned to Christ, you got your faith straight, and guess what? Your business soared, your debt was cleared, and you're like, wow. So I would love to, kind of expand on a little bit of what your community is. What sparked you a little bit? What gave you the idea to, this Muslim evangelist community to find that, right? And to create that, because that's not exactly easy. And not a lot of people are willing to take that leap, but you did. Why?
There's a lot of reasons why. The biggest one, it was a conviction from God. I had deconstructed Islam in my life for so many years, and deconstructing your identity and faith is one of the most muddy and bloody things that you can do as a young man.
Oh, yeah.
When all of a sudden, nothing in your life makes sense, all of your mentors and fathers and uncles and aunts, you don't trust anybody anymore, and you don't know who to go to. It's just you and your phone and the research that you have, because you don't trust people. Deconstruction is messy, it's muddy and bloody, and if you don't tell the world who you are, the world is going to reconstruct it in their manner, right? They're going to force you into this American system of going to college and getting a job and working there for 35 years and retiring in a middle-income home. Nothing wrong with that. It's falsehoods.
Yeah.
That you are only capable of doing X, Y, Z. Not that I'm saying God calls me His, and I walk in authority and power and wisdom. And the wisdom is the fear of the Lord, knowing that the first miracle of the cross is Christ. The second miracle is that He wants to come inside of us as the Holy Spirit and do work with us to partner with Him. It's not always financial success, but it is the fruit of the Spirit. It's very fruitful in that sense. The peace, the joy, the happiness, the community to do God's will. It's insane. And man, with all the business success, the truth is that nothing's really even come close to scratching that itch. And I was ruined for that at a young age. I knew from a young age that God was the most important thing. And the more I mature in life, the more I see pagans, secular humanitarians, other religions who just are so obsessed with the things of this world, and in a moment it's gone. When you die, your bank account, you can just hand it down. It's just numbers on a screen, right? The car's gonna rot in the driveway. The house gets sold. There's only so many things in this life that are worth playing the infinite game for, and that faith comes with all of that. And so, the real conviction, man, was seeing my parents still be in Islam. People think that I really care about the nations, which I really do. Don't get me wrong. I really do. I don't want to say that the wrong way.
No, I understand.
But selfishly, I started this ministry because I needed to get connected with the people who would help me save the people closest to me. And it turned into me becoming this apologist, evangelist, teacher guy who has built one of the biggest, largest Muslim evangelism communities on the planet by the grace of God, with hundreds of millions of views and hundreds of thousands of followers in just a 6-month span. We started this in June, really.
Right.
At least public with the ministry in June. And so I'm still kind of sitting here like, dude, I don't know what I'm doing. I have no clue. But I know that the Lord called me to it because all the success, none of it's in my power. And souls are getting saved. And I get the chance to connect with people that I've looked up to my whole life, and they're asking like me for advice. And I'm like, who am I to tell you, right?
Right.
But I'm kind of just walking this journey like in real time, but it's phenomenal even just being here with you, man. To be approached and like asked to do something like this, I'm like, who am I, right? But
right.
It's an honor.
And I think the same way. More times than I'd like to admit, I sometimes sit there and go, who am I to be here right now? Who am I to deserve this? Me, of lowly people. You give this to me. And actually, you answer your own question. You're like, I have no idea what I'm doing. You don't know what you're doing, but he does. He's working through you.
Amen.
Because he's like, I'm going to use you as a vessel. And sometimes the vessel doesn't know because the ship doesn't know what it's doing, but the captain does. And he's your captain, and you're the vessel.
Amen.
Because you may not know, what's the next step or who's the next person I should talk to, what's the next project. He does, and he's working through you to get to where you need to be. Like, for example, we're human. We're going to die, right? Everything that we have in this world we can't take with, right? It's very much an Alexander the Great kind of mentality. Don't bury me with my riches and all my gold, my jewelry, my wives. No, because I can't take it to the afterlife. Leave it here in this world because I can't take it. And you understood that where I have to leave a mission and I have to serve a God that I know that when I die, my work is complete and it's going to bring more fruit and it's going to bring more people to fulfill even more missions. Because you saw that your parents are still Muslim. And you can't just directly go to them and say, hey, you need to turn to Christ. That's not going to work because you're going to get a lot of resistance. So instead, you're trying to build this community to also bring in people like them. For example, lack of a better term, that's your target market.
Absolutely.
To say listen, there's another way. Here's how I got saved. Here's my story. And to put you on this microphone, to bring you to Turning Point USA, to go to different events and to share your story, the followers, the views that you get, you're spreading the good word, and you're spreading the good news that, listen, there is still hope. So I love that you shared that story too, and I kind of want to shift a little bit. Muslims and Christians don't exactly have the best, relationship, right?
Right.
And you're trying to do something where it bridges the two. It's almost like two ends of the magnet, and you want to bring them together. So how hard has that been, especially trying to start that up? What was the resistance like? And was there any lashback? Was there any, you can't do this, or, it's never going to work? Walk me through that, because you're still here today, but I know there was resistance, so walk me through that.
Yeah, I love that question. Thank you for asking that.
Of course.
There is a lot of muddy and bloody trials that have come through this. The first thing is my family. My family, I am a very public apologist and evangelist now. My family sees my content. They might see me talking about them on this podcast. They don't like that. And as a Christian, we're called to honor our parents. But my mom calls me almost every day asking me to stop.
The Ten Commandments, yeah.
Yeah. So what do you do when you're in this? You feel like this is a God-given mission, and the Lord has anointed it so greatly, even with mainstream media meeting all you guys, and everything in the world is going well, but your personal life, the people closest to you are begging you to stop. Sorry, I'm getting caught up, man. It's hard. It's emotionally, it's the hardest thing ever. I wouldn't wish it on my worst enemy. My dad looks at me, and he thinks that I'm just so astray, and he refuses to listen to me. His heart has completely hardened because all of the work that he did, from immigrating to Pakistan, seeing 9/11, building a family, paying for my college, paying for my car, I'm so grateful for that. And I still love him, and I still show up and try to evangelize with him and meet him, and I love him as a father first before I just shove the gospel at him. But the truth is that it's emotionally one of the most difficult things I've ever done in my life.
Yeah.
That's my personal life. I have people reaching out to my ex-girlfriends in college and high school to see if I really am who I say I am. It's rekindling a lot of old relationships, people getting very angry at what I'm saying, because I have many loving Muslim friends who knew me as a Muslim, and they're questioning who I was and what I do, and it's all very, not very based on much, like judge me by my fruit, right? But I'm honest with people.
Right.
I have the commitment that I will always talk to somebody who wants to talk to me, no matter what, and I'll never be aggressive with them. That's my internal world. It's a total mess. External world. I can show you on my phone, if I look up like go to hell or die in a pit or I hope you get shot on my iPhone, I can show you maybe 4,000 death threats right now that I've gotten in the last 6 months. The first 5 got to me, but through my Bible studies and being discipled in the Word, Acts, I believe 16, 17, and 18, and then also Hebrews 2, talk about how the Lord was anointing Paul, and he had people for him in every city, and that the Lord basically numbered Paul's days before he was ever born.
That's right.
Hebrews 2:14, the verse says, the fear of death is from Satan. The fear of death, that is from Satan, is what Jesus Christ came down to conquer, to show us that even after death, there's infinite hope, infinite endurance.
There's paradise. Today you will join me in paradise.
Today will join me in paradise.
Absolutely.
So Hebrews 2 is a great chapter for that too. Why did God come down? To prove to the children that heaven's real. And so, it's made me very strong in my faith. I know the Lord has numbered every single day that I have before I ever came on this planet, and it gives me an insane conviction to approach so many Muslims. If you watch some of my evangelism clips, I go up to like a mom sometimes, and I'm just like shaking their hands, like, you know me, I know you, let's talk.
Right.
But the truth is no 27-year-old, I'm 27, no 27-year-old should have millions of people having input on his life. No 27-year-old should have to deal with the intense emotional damage of his family, of the weight of that. I'm the youngest child, so they already kind of think I'm a wild one. And I haven't quite like replaced that family relationship with my church friends yet. It's a big gap. I feel a lot of guilt, a lot of shame that like if I can't even steward my family, how can I build relationships with real people? It's been a limiting belief for myself.
Right.
I work through that really closely with my close friends. They really are supportive. But I find myself retreating whenever things go wrong with my family instead of leaning on my friends for support. So the truth is, it's muddy and bloody, dude. And it's messy and, oh, dude, one more thing. The people in my ministry, especially the women, I have a lot of women in my ministry from Egypt, Saudi Arabia, Afghanistan, Yemen, Sudan. I think I have it bad emotionally. These people are literally getting persecuted physically, and oftentimes they have family members that are dying. And they come to me for support. Shahriq, please keep going, you give us hope. And I'm sitting here like I'm a mess, but like, you know, they just lost their father to a terrorist organization in Sudan. Like, what am I, like I almost feel guilty for complaining about my own problems, but the truth is like we all have our own needs. So the answer is I just rely more on God, and God has given me peace every day. Every time I try to worry about things, God takes care of it. That's been the theme of this whole thing. And the lesson there is if you try to start something in your own strength, you have to sustain it. But if you partner with the Lord on something, He will sustain it no matter whether you're in it or not.
Man cannot live on bread alone, and I can do everything through Christ who strengthens me.
Amen.
Yeah.
I can do all things through Christ who strengthens me,
You know, with God, it is not impossible. I forget which passage that is, but there's so many things that I quote in my business and life every day. And there's a couple of things that you mentioned there. Like, for example, when you started to do this, you're getting like your comments and your inbox flooded with hate mail. I was talking to Athena Holtz today as well, and Pierre Wilson, and they've both gotten backlash. They both have had rough moments in their life. And Pierre actually was just before you on the podcast, and he was saying how much backlash and how much hate he was getting when he started to go from liberal to conservatism to help his community in the black community to like, you know, hey, we need to do something here. Because all this hate, he was like, why are we hating each other? For example, why are we hating Muslims and Christians? Yes, we have different beliefs, but we're still people at a basis.
Right.
Like, for example, with your father, you don't want to shove the gospel down his throat, but at the same time, you want to save him. And you know, that's your father. He's still a human being. I still want to love you. I still want to care for you. But listen, this is who I am. And I would love to agree to disagree. Like, you know, I understand this is your beliefs, but listen, this is mine as well. Can we come to a consensus? And you're an open book. If someone wants to come up to you and say, like, you know, you want to talk with them, you talk with them. You're not there like, you know, hey, your view is wrong, yada, yada, yada. You're there to say, like, you know, hey, this is my mission. This is my story, and I want to help people fulfill their mission and their why, and basically to give them purpose.
Right.
So I love everything that you have said there because, you know, it makes sense.
Yeah.
And, you know, a lot of the things that people say, Athena was just telling me, she's like, that's actually not the person saying that. That is the devil working through that. That is the evil powers working through them to shame you, because the devil will go after the strong, not the weak, because he wants a bigger prize. And that's why he's going after you. That's why you're having so many gaps. That's because he's trying to work against you. But the good Lord is stronger than that.
Thank you for saying that, bro. Yeah, and I want to make one thing super clear. Like, as Christians, it's if you are not for me, you are against me. That's what Christ says. That's for the ideologies, okay? I love Muslim people. My whole family's Muslim, dude. That's the
Right.
doctors, the lawyers, my aunts and uncles.
Yeah.
The Afghani refugee mom that moved down the street. Love her. She makes great food.
Yeah.
I stand so firmly against Islam, it's not even funny, right? And I always want to tie it back to the mission, obviously, but I wouldn't have these convictions if I didn't know how to challenge my beliefs, right? If I didn't know how to deconstruct and reconstruct to become the man of God that we're called to be. And one reason I love your show, dude, and mainstream media especially, is because you guys have that principle in town. That it's not just about the business, but it's about integrating a level of faith and then using your business as a level of ministry. And to be able to
Right.
do that in real time is it's such a blessing. And I know that you're experiencing that in real time too.
Absolutely. And I kind of want to segue a little bit into like
Sure.
business and entrepreneurship a little bit. Like starting a business and being an entrepreneur isn't exactly easy.
Oh.
And it's very difficult, especially if you're doing it on your own. But of course, you and I know that we're not doing it on our own. But to the public eye, you're doing that on your own. Like you're starting your community, you're starting a business like that. So in the beginning, like, what kind of mindset shift did you have to go through in order to say, like, I'm also the boss, but I'm also the employee, and I need to get my stuff together? What was that shift for you to go, we need to get this done?
Yeah, it's extreme responsibility, and you have to do it with conviction. I speak a lot about conviction. With 99% of conviction, which most people have way less in what they do in life, with 99% conviction, you can get a lot of things done. When you have 100% conviction in something, other people will move mountains for you to accomplish that mission. When you have
That's right.
100% conviction, that was the conviction that actually got me. I was like, I don't even know what I stand for. I don't know what I was a liberal at one point, bro. I got delivered from that, praise God. But I didn't know what I stood for politically. I didn't know what I stood for if I had a family. I didn't know what I stood for in terms of where I wanted to live, how I wanted to raise my kids. I don't have kids. But like these questions came up to me as I'm becoming a man in real time. I'm like, what do I even stand for? And the truth was I didn't stand for anything. And I wondered why the world loved me so much, right? Christ says the world will hate you. And the world loved me. I was the most outgoing good boy Christian. And so I'm like, hold on, something's wrong. With entrepreneurship, to accomplish something great in entrepreneurship, you need to operate with 100% conviction.
Absolutely.
And the truth was, I don't think I was 100% convicted in anything other than my name given to me, which wasn't even given to me. It wasn't even my conviction. That hurt me, my soul. I was like, what do I stand for? What do I believe in? What's my worldview? What's the authority in my life? Christ is, by the way. What is the authority in my life that I can pull things from to get things done? And Christ was the only answer for me. But that's what I challenge people to do if they're viewing this podcast. I would say, if the world doesn't hate you in the way that it hated Christ, you are not convicted on your mission. And if you aren't moving as fast as you want, you aren't convicted on your mission, because if you are 100% convicted on your mission, people will help you to do it. They can feel it. When I talk to you about conviction in my mission, psychologically, it's going to remind you of the times in your life when you were most convicted, and you love it, and you attach that energy.
Right.
And you love that energy, and you're going to go out there and you're going to push it, man. And we sharpen each other.
That's right. Iron
It's so
sharpens
important.
iron.
And with conviction comes commitment.
Yep.
And this is actually a Grant Cardone quote, but real commitment is instant results. If I was really committed to my mission, I would come up to you and shake your hand and say, I know you have this show here. I would love to tell you what I do and see if I can benefit your audience in any way. I'll do it for free. I don't care. Like, let's just get it in, man. That's only a possible action if you're 100% committed to your thing. If I wasn't committed, man, I would have looked at you filming here and been like, maybe next time, maybe next year.
Right.
So, commitment, conviction, Christ.
You know what? Those 3 C's, I love that.
More 3 C's.
The Trinity, for example.
Yeah.
And you know what? There's something there, like, you have to be all in, 100% conviction and 100% committed. Because you have people that are either like, they want to start up something like, yeah, you know what? I'm going to start that next month, and they don't miss it. Oh, man, you know what? This month was tough. I'm going to do it. You're either in or you're out. Like, you got to be the boss of your employee to go, why didn't I get this done? Okay, would I fire myself? You have to be honest with yourself.
Right.
And you're definitely like, get it done, or you're fired. Like, I can tell that's your energy, that's your vibe, where you're like, either I'm all in or I'm all out, and I got to make my decision quick. And, there's something else that you talked about earlier. It's like, tearing yourself down and rebuilding yourself up. It's very harsh on you physically, on you mentally. But, when it comes to faith, when it comes to life, when it comes to business, you have to do that. You have to be honest with yourself. So walk us through that. Like, how important is that to really sit there, reflect, and look at yourself in the mirror and pull yourself apart to go, wow, I need a lot of fixing.
Oh yeah. Well, dude, your business is a reflection of you. Like your business success is your identity and it's your mirror, right? So if you're a 0 to 10K a month guy, the skills and who you are to get there is not going to get you from 10 to 100 and then 100 to $1 million a month.
Right.
You're not going to crush any of those numbers. So your business is a reflection of you. The first question you have to ask yourself is, would I even hire myself if I was the top level CEO at my competitor's company? Oh, the amount of times I said, absolutely not. I want to hire myself when I wake up at 9:30 and I'm late to my meetings and I don't start to work till 11 a.m. and yada, yada, yada. And
I think I've been fired 12 times already or something like that.
Yeah, I would have fired myself 10 years ago. I would have been like, this kid's an idiot. That's the first thing, is do you hold yourself to the standard that somebody else would? Do you hold yourself to the standard that God would? Right? A big thing there. Your business is a reflection of you. So all the leaky points in your business, remember that your business is a collection of systems. And it doesn't matter if you have a $200,000 a month sales team, if you have a $2K a month marketing program, you're only going to get capped at that $2K a month, right? So you have to look at it systematically, right? You look at the 5 pillars of business, right? Lead gen, lead nurture, sales, fulfillment, and then retention ascension, okay?
Yeah.
If you have a 5K a month lead gen system, but a 200K a month sales team, what are you going to do, 200K a month? No.
Right.
5. And you have to fix every cog of the wheel, and your business is a reflection of you. And so if you, in your life, if your diet is out of shape, you can have a $1 million a month vision. If you have a 5K a month diet and you treat yourself like crap and you're passing out in the middle of the night, middle of the day, you're gonna fall. So this is the quote to line this home. You don't rise to the level of your ambitions. You fall down to the level of your systems. And if you can systematically build things, when you get these like crazy spurts of creative energy, don't go create 10 new things, okay? Build systems that will sustain it.
Refine it.
Over time. And you can refine those, maybe, you can really just pump more volume into it usually, but you'll be surprised, man. So many people don't even have a calendar. And you wonder why your sales team is misperforming. You wonder why you can't close deals. There's no
Exactly.
It's so simple in that sense. It's simple, not easy. That's what I would say.
I love that. Hey, you know what? There's something you touched upon there, systems. I'll give you an example. Jesus was the greatest salesman that ever walked the face of the earth, and I'm going to tell you why. He came down here in the flesh. In fact, today's the 19th. I mean, and like the 25th is going to be his birthday. But he came down here in the flesh. And then when he went, to sacrifice himself for us, he realized that he couldn't do it on his own.
Jesus, man.
12 disciples. What did he do with those 12 disciples? Go out and spread the good news. Go spread the gospel. 12 multiplied into 24. And then all of a sudden 48. And then just multiplied from there on, even more, even more. And guess what? Christianity is a third of the world's religion today. And he knew the system. He was like, I got a great mission. I got a great product. I can't sell it. I need to have other people selling it for me into different systems. So he had 12 disciples go forth and spread the good news. And when he figured out that system, he is still able to work through us today, 2,000 years ago, because he figured out that he couldn't do it on his own. Like, for example, you knew you couldn't do it on your own. You need to have systems that back that up. You have all this creative energy and all this vision and, this mission, but it's like, well, on paper it looks good, but I have to implement it in the system to actually get it going. So I love the fact that you brought that up. And we're going to wrap up this episode because you and I both have shot voices because we're both dying over here.
I would go for another hour with you, bro. Yeah.
Oh, likewise. But what is one message you would leave for our generation, the 20-year-olds all the way to the 27-year-olds, or those that are aspiring to start their podcast, start their business, become the Muslim evangelical community leader? What would you say to them?
Yeah. I went from a devout Muslim to not really having a faith to living in Miami, going to the things of this world, parties, experiences, travel, good friends, luxury. Our business was pumping a lot of money. Nothing quite compares to the love of God, man. And I would say practically, if you have church hurt, get over yourself. It's time to come back home. Okay, that's the first thing. But the second thing is,
it's in the past. Move on.
Yeah, it's really important to not just be Christian, but to be a disciple. And to be a disciple means to be a disciple maker, to have men that you walk with every day, to be one of the 12 that walk with Jesus. They didn't just hear him preach; they lived with that man during the time of his ministry. They took good care of him. They were with him. They supported him. The ability to become a disciple To find one, discipleship's one-on-one, by the way.
Yep.
To find somebody to disciple you properly in the Word, you will realize that the whole world is so backwards. The world wants to do so many things. The presence of Satan in this world is so powerful. And if the world does not hate you, if everybody in your life is patting you on the butt saying, hey, good job, man, and you're doing great, keep going, and people aren't standing against your ideas or your convictions, you aren't doing it right. Christ said the world will hate you, and he was hated more than anybody. They crucified the man.
That's right.
Where's your convictions? Where do they stand? You know you're doing it right, the more backlash you get from the things that are not the kingdom of Christ. And that's what I would say.
I love that. And for those that are listening in, ladies and gentlemen, you can email us at sharkkhan@mainstreetmedianetwork.com to learn more about his mission, his community, and what he's doing here at Turning Point USA, America Fest 2025. You can check out the episode on mainstreetmedianetwork.com and also our website and also our podcast, www.everforwardcapitalpartners.com. And to my audience out there, build yourself better and bigger every day. Live better, live bigger. Always move ever forward. And Shahriq, it was a pleasure to have you on the show, my
Michael,
friend.
God bless you, brother.
Thank you so much.
Let's go.